All right, and we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is my third video for the day. When I get inspired to do a video, I like to try and do it right away so I don't lose my train of thought. And when I communicate with my subscribers, if they leave a comment that inspires me to make a video, I always will give credit where credit is due. So this shout out goes to Prez of the Punishers fan club since 1988. That is the longest YouTube username in probably all of history. But we were going back and forth with some comments. And basically, we discussed about the fact he brought up Stan Lee's signatures and how it does vary from place to place. But he charges around $125 down to about $100 for his signature. And I was talking about, well, I'll give my response, and then I'm going to go a little bit further into detail, because a lot of people have this illusion that Stan Lee's signature is going to be worth a lot of money, especially when he passes away. And to be honest, I would rather have a person alive than dead. So unfortunately, there are some kind of people out there that worry too much about profit. I mean, if you're trying to make a living on somebody's demise, you may want to reevaluate your train of thinking. But with that being said, there are many people that think Stan Lee's signature is going to be worth a lot of money when he passes on. But let me first just read the comment that I responded to him about the fact of how much Stan Lee charges for a signature. What I responded was, and I said, that is why I would never go to him to get a book signed. In other words, going to a Comic-Con, for example. And then I wrote, because I can get his signature much cheaper and not have to pay for gas, pay for tolls, pay for parking, pay for food, pay for the tickets to actually get into the con, and then pay between $100 and $125 for the quote-unquote privilege of getting his signature and spending an entire day to do it. I put wasting the entire day. Just like they say in business, time is money. If I have to spend all day waiting hours online, spending all of that money, was it worth it when I can just go on eBay and find one where somebody did all of that for me, got it graded, or even one that isn't graded that I know what the signature looks like? I could buy it for so much cheaper and do it from the comfort of my home at 3 o'clock on a Sunday morning. So now, is Stan Lee's autograph going to be worth as much when he passes away? I mean, this is a reality. The man is 95, 96 years old, somewhere in that area. Last time I checked, people don't live forever, so it's just a matter of time. But let's hope that's still 10, 20 years down the line. I don't wish that just to earn some profit, but unfortunately, there are plenty of people that will. Now, this is going to be the problem. See, if you know anything about Stan Lee, he signs thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of books every year. I mean, all you have to do is see the line that people will wait 3 to 5 hours on just to get his one signature. Now, the day he passes away, and like I said, I hope this is many years down the line, what do you think all the people that have his book are going to do? They are going to flood, and I mean flood the market with his signatures. And if you know anything about business, if you research or look up supply and demand, well, that day, there is going to be what will seem like an endless supply of books with his signature, which will dramatically decrease the demand, which means the price will probably go down. So if you went and spent, let's just say $100 for the book, just for his signature, you got to include the gas it took to get there, or the train ticket, or a bus ticket, or whatever, the food that you spent, that you ate that day, the parking tickets, if you had to pay parking, the cost of the Comic-Con itself, and the signature, and then if you took a day off of work to do this, you have to deduct that from the value of how much money you spent. plus whatever you spent on the particular comic book that you had him sign. Do you think you're going to get that same value the day after he passes away? And this is the thing I want people to be very aware of, because unfortunately, like I say all the time, people base things most of the time on emotion and group thought. And there are many channels that will tell you how valuable his signatures are, which for the moment they do still maintain their value, because at any given moment you can go on eBay and find 100 or 2 of his books that are signed. Maybe between 100 and 500 any given day. That's not a lot when you consider there are millions of people on the planet. And of course, not everybody's buying comic books. But the day he passes away, you're going to see all of those people. I mean, how many people went to go get that one book today, the, what is it, the Infinity Wars or something? The one I passed up because it was either $4.99 or $5.99, which, by the way, I found online for cheaper than cover price. So I'm glad I stuck with my principles. But how many people saw that book go from $4.99 to $15 on eBay, and it's not even 12 hours yet since that book has been out? You don't think people are going to absolutely flood the market with Stan Lee signatures? And do you think that's going to raise the value or lower the value? So we'll put it this way. The best day to buy a Stan Lee signature is probably going to be on the day he passes away. Now, again, I will say this because I'm not interested in the value of money based on somebody's death. So I don't want it to happen for a long time. But I know business. And the market will be flooded with thousands and thousands and thousands of Stan Lee signatures with people in hopes they could profit off of a tragedy. And it's simple supply and demand that should tell you everything that you need to know. And Devraz says, why can't our Yankees beat the crappy teams? Well, because no team will ever go 162-0, and you're going to lose games from every now and then. But, you know, that's a topic for another discussion. But, so I want to make this video pretty quick. If you want to buy a Stan Lee signature, if you want to spend your day going there, if you think it's some kind of experience because you've always wanted a signature, that's great. Then it's priceless. But if you're doing it with the intent of saying, I'm going to strike it rich when the day he passes, I'll sell every book. If you think you're going to make a profit, you are going to be sadly disappointed that day. So be careful whose advice you listen to. Because me, I have maybe 4 comic books with his signature, maybe 5. And I promise you, the day he passes away, which again I hope is years from now, my books will not be on the market ready to be made a profit of. I bought them because I love having his signature. I love the fact that I didn't have to spend all day waiting online to get it. And most of the time I spent less money doing it from the comfort of my home. But again, so many people base things on emotion. And you could see it even in the comic book community or any community on YouTube, where people will be so over-emotional about something that in the end is not really life-changing or life-threatening. They're just books. I love them, but a comic book is not going to save your life. A comic book is not going to put food in your mouth by feeding you manually when you're sick. You know, that's what your husband and wife and family are for. So, as much as I love them, sometimes people need to reprioritize, and they will use all emotion and get so angry at even something like this because they don't want to hear reality. They just want to hear their own private little bubble where they'll have 50 to 100 people patting them on the back saying, great job, no matter what they do or say. So be very careful whose advice you listen to. If you want to go to a channel where they'll tell you, oh, don't listen to Chris, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Stan Lee's signature when he dies is going to go through the roof. If you want to listen to those people, good luck selling your book the day he passes away. Don't be shocked if your book with a buy it now of $500 is sitting there never sold. Because people seem to not understand how business works. A person can sell something for any price they want, but it doesn't matter if a buyer is not willing to pay for it. This is the thing that companies have been misleading people about ever since businesses started. They lead you to believe that they are in control of the market. Stan Lee's book can be selling for $1,000 the day he passes away. If you have 25,000 choices, you think you're going to spend that much for that book? No. So the illusion is companies tell you it's a seller's market. It's always a buyer's market, because if no buyer is willing to pay the price that you're selling something for, it does not matter the number. And that's why I tell people, when you research the value of comics, don't base it on what people are selling on eBay. Base it on what has been sold on eBay. Because you'll notice the same comics that have been sold tend to sell a lot less than the ones that people are selling. Now, of course, you'll always get that foolish person who doesn't do his own research and just buys a book without even trying a comparison price that may buy an overpriced book. That's the buyer's fault. But the average person out there, if you do your research, and I preach this all the time, you are less likely to be taken advantage of or have a situation that you regret a purchase because you did the best that you can. Sometimes things fail. You will have less regret if you did everything in your power to make something not happen and it was just life getting in the way, than somebody who just said, you know what, I'm going to listen to what everybody else is doing, I'm going to follow what everybody else does, and I'm going to believe whatever makes me feel good, and then end up being solely disappointed. So what I'm saying here is not going to be popular, but sometimes reality is not always popular. If you want to live in a bubble where everybody will tell you that life is wonderful and all your dreams will come true no matter what you do, you don't have to do any research and you will just sit back and make millions of dollars twiddling your thumbs, well, please direct me to what part of La La Land you're living in, because I certainly would love to move there. So, as usual, you will see my consistent trolls thumbing down my videos. On them. I find them funny, and I hope I triggered 3 of them to hit the thumb down right now. I love doing it. It's actually very fun for me. But to those of you who have a thought process, to those of you who are not so over-emotional that you will believe anything that fits the agenda you want it to fit in, and will actually think about how business really works, you will know that Stan Lee's signature is probably one of the worst ones to get unless you're buying it. If you're buying it just to sell it, you are probably going to end up losing money, or at the very best, probably break even. Now, of course, if it's a major key issue, that's a different story. But you see people all the time, like they'll get a book like Fantastic Four 52 at a 0.5. They'll have that book signed by Stan Lee thinking it will raise the value. Well, if you're silly enough to buy a 0.5 just because it has somebody's handwriting on it and spend $500 extra for that privilege, there's a reason why there's a quote that says, "A fool and their money are soon parted." Think differently. Think. Don't just react. Don't just do, and don't just follow what everybody else does. Because like I've said before, in the past, everybody was convinced that the world was flat. What do masses know? They know only what they are told, only what they believe in, only what they feel, and very few do actual research. And I've made that mistake from time to time too. Sometimes you might trust a source. Sometimes you just cannot verify everything. But the more you do verify, the less chances of being burned. So think for yourself. Don't just go on a channel that's going to pander to what you believe in, because then you're not getting truthful information that will be beneficial to you. And that is ultimate regret. So what I try and instill with people is do your own research. Verify things from even people you trust, because mistakes happen. I'll give you a prime example. Just today, when I was talking about my comic books that I got today, one of the comics that I talked about was Rocko's Modern Life. I said was a number 1. I double-checked thanks to one of my subscribers, and it's actually a number 7. It looked like a 1 because a 1 and a 7, the way they wrote it, it looks very similar. But I made a mistake. It was an honest mistake, and if somebody wants to kill me for an honest mistake, that's fine. I don't think millions of people stopped what they were doing to buy that book anyway, but mistakes can happen. So if you don't verify something, you can blame the messenger all you want. It's ultimately your responsibility to do something. Because if a person, let's say you're a king, and you have a taster who tastes your food to make sure it's not poisonous, and maybe they ended up legitimately tasting it and just happened to get a piece of whatever food that didn't have any poison on it and didn't die. Well, if you eat the piece with poison in it, who do you think suffers? The person that made the error? Or maybe the person who lied about it? Or you that was foolish enough to believe it or not verify it? So no matter what I do, I'm going to get hate. And there are going to be plenty of channels that will pander to you. If you want to be pandered to, then this is the wrong place to be. Because I won't tell you what you want to hear. I'll tell you what you should hear. And when it comes to business, please look up supply and demand. The day Stan Lee passes, they are going to flood the market with thousands upon thousands of books. Everybody's going to want 500, 1,000, 10,000 for his signature, and they're going to be really disappointed when hardly anybody buys them. Unless, of course, you get there early enough. Be smarter. Don't just listen to what makes you happy, because if it's not truthful, or if it does not apply to you, it is a temporary happiness that will give you a lifelong set of regret. And I see this so much on YouTube, and I'm not just talking about comic book channels. I'm talking everywhere on YouTube, where people will put out information just because they know it sells. I mean, look at somebody like, for example, Alex Jones. If you follow that person, good luck with your future, because you'll probably die of a heart attack before you ever hit 50 with all his doomsday stuff. But hundreds of thousands of people like it. And they listen to it. Why do you think they do it? Supply and demand. If there's going to be plenty of people that want to hear what I call fear porn, there's going to be always somebody willing to give it to you. A fool and their money are soon parted. There's a reason why he does all that doom and gloom and then sells stuff like water purifiers and all these things you need to quote-unquote survive, because according to him, every other day it's World War III. If that's the way you want to live your life, I mean, I ended up back in 2012, fell for his trap. But I'm getting off track. The point is, be very careful who you listen to. If you're listening to somebody just because they will pander to your own feelings, instead of you listening to the truth that you need to hear, the person that suffers is you. Because if somebody convinced you that jumping off a bridge is the most fantastic, rewarding experience, if they convince you that you won't get hurt and you will actually fly, or you will make millions of dollars from doing it, and you're dumb enough to do it, he may feel or she may feel bad that she tricked you or he tricked you. They may even feel remorse. But who's the one that suffers? Think before you act. And again, that doesn't mean you'll get everything right. I make mistakes as well. It's part of being human. It's okay. But you can reduce the amount of mistakes you make if you verify things, just for the very least, to verify their information as being accurate. So, as usual, my videos, according to some, will not be very popular, because I'm not telling you what you want to hear. I'm sure there are plenty of people listening to this that have plenty of Stan Lee signatures thinking, oh, I can't wait until the day he dies, because I'm going to turn around and I'm going to sell all my books, I'm going to make lots of money. Well, good luck with that. I hope you do. Because whether you do or don't, it doesn't affect me at all. I'm saying this to try and help those who want to think more than just what they can put in their bank account. Because if your sole purpose in life is finding success through green pieces of paper, you're not really living. Well, at least not for someone, not for yourself. You're living for other people. Money is not the definition of success in my book. Is it nice to have it? Sure. Does it help pay bills and put food on the table? It sure does. But if that's your end-all, be-all, and you will sacrifice your own family to make a few extra dollars, you're not a good person. So this went on a tirade rant, but that's one of the things my subscribers love and my haters love. But it's definitely something you will not hear on most channels. So if you want to hear somebody tell you that Stan Lee's signature is going to make you a millionaire, please go there, go enjoy the fairyland tale. But don't complain to me the day you try and sell your book and you have no buyers. It's hardly ever a seller's market. It's always a buyer's market. Now, of course, there's always exceptions to every rule, because unfortunately the masses will believe anything that they're told. So it's very easy to influence people to make you believe in things that you wouldn't normally do when you stop and think about things. Companies will take advantage of you. Like somebody said today, this Infinity Wars, they said, why did they put it at number 1 when it's technically part 3? And it's very simple. Number 1 is going to sell more than a number 3. If you think these companies care about you, you're being fooled. They care about you because you have money to give them. The only way they're going to get your money is if they make you feel welcome, make you feel warm, make you feel part of the family, make you think that they care about you. Because if they did the reality of what they wanted, you probably wouldn't give them your money. Salesmen have to be very sneaky, very trusting. Watch any movie where somebody makes a deal with the devil. I'm not saying the devil exists, I'm saying movie-wise. Does the devil sit there with his horns all scary before the guy or the girl signs the contract, scaring them? No, they look very friendly. They may even look very attractive. They promise you the world until you sign on the dotted line. So if you're easily influenced by somebody thinking that the CEOs of Marvel and DC and Sony and Warner Brothers and all these other companies, wherever you are, if you really think they care about you, congratulations, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. They care about your money because when you no longer have it, they're no longer caring and catering to your needs. Go get Stan Lee's signature and tell him you forgot your wallet. And watch how quickly he passes your book by. So, you can hate me for saying this, or you can love me for saying this. It doesn't change the truth or the reality of what is. If you spend your whole life listening and believing in people that base things on emotion and feelings and what they're told, you will be led astray more than you will ever be led in the direction you want to go. Because, like they say, if you want something done right, do it yourself. If you're always getting verification and approval from others, then are you really confident in what you're doing? And I think that's why some people hate me on this YouTube. Because I'm very sure of myself, even if I make a mistake. Because I believe in what I do. And if I make a mistake, I do my best to correct it. Some people, they base everything on what everybody else tells them. Ever wonder why you're disappointed more than you're happy? It's a whole psychological thing. The news does it. Corporations do it. Governments do it. It's all basing it on emotion so they can trick you into going in the way that they want you to go, and they do it with a smile on their face and you with your hand in your wallet. Be very careful. So if you like the truth and the reality of things that I say, I would appreciate your support. If you just want to thumb it down because you're just one of those people, you're probably not listening anyway, then by all means, please do. Because as you can see, even with the extra amount of thumbs down I've been getting lately, it doesn't stop me from making videos. I learned my lesson when I shut my channel down the last time, back in 2015, 2016. That will never happen again. And I'm sure I will make more mistakes. I'm sure I will get things wrong from time to time. I'm sure I might not say things perfectly. But I'm just being me. And I think that's why some people actually appreciate it. So, to my subscriber with the longest YouTube name in history, Prez of the Punisher's fan club since 1998 or 1988, thank you for the inspiration of this video. I hope it helps somebody. If you want Stan Lee's signature and you want to wait all day and you don't want to factor in all the other costs, then you're not really a person that has much business sense. Look and learn the difference between net and gross. And if you own a business, you have to factor in not only the money you make, but the money you spend. And that means electric bills, gas bills, food bills, employees. These are things you have to factor in. And that's the same with buying a book. If you spent $100 on a book and spent $100 to get his signature, you didn't spend $100. You didn't spend $200 because whatever amount you had to pay to get into the Comic-Con, whatever train ticket, bus ticket, gas price, gas tolls, all those other things, you had to factor in as well. Just because you don't add those things doesn't mean they weren't a factor. That's why when I give prices of books, I do the prices for the shipping and handling because that's part of the actual expense. These are things you got to do if you want to know where your money's going. If you want to know how to do these things properly and still think you got a deal. And that's why I still get deals even when I factor in all those things that most people tend to leave out because it's just convenient or easier to mislead people, including themselves. That's rather silly. Unless you're some millionaire that has millions of dollars to throw away, which I don't. And many people that watch my channel probably don't have that kind of disposable cash either. So Timothy Harris, thank you very much. I think this sums it all up where he says, discussions like this are needed. And I agree. If you want reality, if you want business sense, if you are a person that thinks beyond emotion, feelings, or what other people say in group thought. There is a reason why one shepherd and one sheepdog can control 1,000 sheep. It's because they all follow what the other sheep are doing. And most of the time, they're being led to slaughter. So be very careful what the group thought says. And if they base everything on emotion, then you know. The people who thumb down my videos all the time are basing things on emotion, not information. That's sad for them. What's sad for me is I used to let it get to me at one point. Lesson learned. Strong people are not ones that need a group to tell you how to think and how to live and how to be and what to do. A strong person can do something on their own even if it goes against what everybody else believes. That's the true definition of strength. If you're asking everyone for strength, if you're strong, then you're not. Because it's like being in love. You either are or you aren't. If you have to guess, then guess what? You're not. So thanks for listening. I hope you appreciated this. And thank you for the thumbs down for the anonymous people that are going to do it based on their emotion. I'm glad to know my words can affect you emotionally to the point where you get angry. I would recommend seeking therapy, then go get Stan Lee's signature, then try and sell it, and when you find out the day he dies that you're not going to get the $500 you were hoping and praying for, greedily thinking that you would profit off of somebody's demise and misfortune, well, I'll be laughing on the inside. You'll just never know it because those people, I don't care about. I mention them because they're extremely funny. And I just want to say really quick, and this is a first, Corey Maxwell just left a little $1 super chat. So that was very nice of you. Thank you for that. And after YouTube takes out the taxes and everything, I will owe 37 cents. So anybody ever does that where they do a super chat, I will make sure I absolutely read it. There's nothing that he said, so there's nothing to read, but I wanted to point that out. So you don't have to do it, obviously, but anybody that does, especially when it comes to questions, because a lot of people scroll, if I ever see that, it's guaranteed that I will answer the question or whatever statement, as long as it's something that's not mean. So with that being said, thank you very much for listening. As you could see, this video has half less people watching because it's not telling you what most people want to hear. But the ones that are here for the right reasons, the business people, the ones that can think for themselves, they will benefit from this information. And those are the people that I'm striving for. Sometimes you just can't hit the mark on everybody. And sometimes you got to cut the cord on those who you can't help no matter what you do. If you want to pamper those people or be one of those people, be very careful who you connect and hitch your wagon to. Because if you want to trust other people to pull your wagon, you better hope they're going in the right direction that you want them to go. So with that being said, thank you very much. And Corey, much love to you as well, and to everybody that takes the time to watch this live or days, weeks, or months later. Hit the thumbs up, show the support, show those haters that we outnumber them 50-1. Let the 7 or 8 to 10 to 12 people thumb it down, and I can laugh at them. It gives me more traffic, according to YouTube. And people are like, oh, you shouldn't bring it up. I love bringing it up. If I can trigger an emotional person based on what I say about a comic book, that says more about that person than it ever will me. So I actually get enjoyment triggering these few people that get angry. And if you don't like it, I understand. But that's the beautiful thing about my life. I could make any choice, including the wrong choice. That's kind of how life goes. So with that morality out of the way, thank you so much for listening. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And I don't say this often, but I'm going to say it today just to kind of punch it in a little bit. Don't forget to have your trolls spayed or neutered. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen.